Hey, good morning, fuckers. Welcome to another day of the Daily BM. I got Mikey with me. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily BM.
Geez, it is Tuesday today on Z Show. Hey, did you happen to get a text yesterday from old Brian? You were included in that text, weren't you? In that late night text?
I don't know. I don't know. I was in bed, so I silenced it because after the first one went off.
Schmengel Brian always sends texts late at night. It's like that's when he's cooking, and because of his hours and shifts, it makes me laugh. Mm-hmm. But he was the song knocking on heaven's door from Guns N' Roses came on. I guess that was one of Eric's favorite songs. So he was like touched by it. So he shot me a message individually because I responded, of course, because I was up. But yeah, man. Yeah. So it was he was a little reminiscing, him and I, because we both thought we were weird because we were talking about because he was like going, I know that I can I can feel like energy because everything's energy, and da 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 da. I said nah. I said I feel you on that, man. I said sometimes I get those weird vibes like when I'm out, like obviously because you don't actually make fun of me, but I do the ghost stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's like, I believe that stuff's real. This.
So I believe that energy is there. So it's like, it's different, it's a different feeling. So anyway, so what you got for us for Tech Tuesday? Sorry, I just figured I'd go straight there. Talk about Brian.
Yeah, I know. Bring the energy level down in the room.
Sorry, man.
The energy, man. Like, it's just bringing up Eric and brings back all the feels.
Yeah, it does, man, for sure.
Well, I was just going to talk about China's recent move to block WhatsApp and Instagram Threads from their app store, the Apple App Store in China this weekend.
I'm wondering if they did that because of retaliation to the vote this past weekend of the banning of TikTok and sliding that in that bill for the funding of Ukraine.
There is, and they also banned Chinese government employees from using Apple iPhones. So
really,
yeah, which has caused Apple stock to drop because they got bumped out of the number one selling smartphone in the world by Samsung because of that switch in China, because China banned the Apple iPhone from government employee use. So
it's a tit for tat is what it really boils down to between the two governments saying, okay, you're going to pull this, then we'll pull that.
Right. 100%.
Well, I mean,
that's what I feel like. I feel like it's just, all a work, and we're stuck in the middle
as consumers. Again, I've stated this on prior episodes. Until they can show me proof that information is actually truly being leaked to China, like our personal data, and being used inappropriately or being sent over at all, for that matter, from those Oracle servers. I mean, it would be super easy to police that, to see if that data is being leaked on an Oracle server. It really would be super easy to police it. So I don't understand the banning of an app that's hosted on an American server on American soil by a Chinese company when there's so many other businesses owned by Chinese.
Right.
And a communist country has, they even have land they bought, farmland, things of that nature that we know for a fact, So I just don't understand the big hiccup on it. It's all political saber waving back and forth between the two superpowers, kind of saying, well, fuck you. No, well, fuck you too.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thought?
Well, my whole thought on social media in the first place, and I think that it is definitely a power play between governments. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's also a power play between, Mark Zuckerberg and the rest of the online social media platforms, because I feel like he's becoming more in bed with the government, and pushing their political agendas. And, they happen to align, I guess, with his political agenda. So he's manipulating the system. And I don't think it's a free speech environment, like it should be. I don't think that. I think people get censored that shouldn't be censored, and I think people that should be censored aren't being censored because it's not equal. Like I think it should be an equal playground. If you're gonna just make the rules the same for everybody.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. If you're gonna bring in censorship of any sort, then it needs to be an equal playground across the board. You can totally tell the difference, for instance, between Meta and TikTok. You can see a difference between Meta and X, or X and TikTok, Snapchat and Meta. You can see the big differences between all those platforms with how much you get away with things and how much you don't, depending on which way you lean, so to speak. So with Meta, I have a huge problem because I feel like they police it so hard as far as your freedom to say or do anything. Like you can't even type a word without a phrase, and it really doesn't mean what they think it means. And then there's no way to fight it. There's no way to protest it or say, hey, can you have somebody look at this because this comment, maybe a little button underneath it that says, hey, review this comment, because it's not being meant how your AI or whatever, your algorithm is interpreting it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've had that. So I'm like, now I'm playing down dumb, when I type something. Like I have to be super careful what I say. And people are using like different words now to get around it, like they may not say like this girl has a nice ass. Let's just say that, you know what I mean? Where now you have to say, wow, that's a great dump truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which it bugs me because Zuck put out an Instagram reel just this weekend, and he had a song in there that was full of curse words.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 100% positive that his Instagram reel did not get flagged by the algorithm and get limited audience. I know that it went out to every single person that follows him, and probably people that don't follow him because he's the owner of the company.
Correct.
And it's just such a double standard, because if you curse, there's a high probability you're not going to be shown as much as if you don't curse, which I'm okay with as long as it's equal.
Correct.
That's my problem. Like I don't mind rules and I don't mind regulations. Like I actually think that there should be more regulations for social media, because I really don't believe everybody deserves a voice, an equal voice. Let me rephrase that. Everybody deserves a voice, but not everybody deserves an equal voice, because people that are like, sowing dissidence and mayhem, they shouldn't be allowed to do that, in my opinion. And as I'm saying that, I hesitate saying it because, that's what everybody that's in power says about people that are not in power. And a lot of times just because you're in power doesn't mean you're doing it right. So it's really challenging. Does that make sense? Because if you're going against the system and it's for a virtuous method, like when this country was founded, we were taxation without representation. The British government tried to prevent that from being spread, that information. And that was a good thing. It worked out towards the benefit of men. Like when we tried to abolish slavery, that was a movement, civil rights movements. So there's a time and a place for it. But there's also things out there that sow dissidence and, suffering that should be limited. And I don't know, maybe the audience, maybe the listeners are the best people to make the vote. Maybe they should have a voting system, up vote, down vote, kind of like they do in, Reddit and other platforms. The more people that agree with it, the more it gets shown. The less people that agree with it, the less it gets shown. But then you do have mob-think. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a good solution out there. I mean, what's your thoughts on it? Should it just be the wild, wild west and everybody gets to say everything? Or should there be some policing and governing?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. And I've been, obviously I've been around a long time, I'm over 50, I've seen the birth of the internet just like you, and I remember the early days of social media.
Yeah.
I really feel like, and again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I don't feel like the policing it hardcore was the answer, because back even in the early days, everybody just did what they were supposed to do. You know what I mean? It's almost like the problem is we don't have any personal accountability anymore. Nobody holds themselves accountable for their actions and the things they say. You know, we've turned into such. Pardon my way I say this. We've turned into such pussies about everything. We really are. We're a bunch of pussies. I mean, that's just the bottom line. This country's turned into a bunch of pussies that want to cry about everything, and they want to bitch and moan, and then they don't do anything to change it. So themselves, and hold themselves accountable when they're doing it. I don't remember seeing that in the 90s, in the all the way through the 90s and the early 2000s. It's just like, when did it start? I can't even tell you when this actually swung and changed. So I don't really know if more regulations are the answer. I think it's holding accountability and then having parents, again, be parents. And I mean, I know it's so cliche to say, but it's the truth. You know, it starts at home. We could go on and on and on about this, but I feel like you're not on TikTok. I am. Okay. The algorithm works. It's almost similar to Meta's. It really does. It actually doesn't work quite as good, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when I search for something on Google and Meta, you know what I mean? I'm getting hit. Boom, 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 boom. Whether it's an ad, whether it's content that they think I want to see, where TikTok doesn't react as fast. To me, it just doesn't. It doesn't react as fast to the content. It still kind of randomizes it a little bit. But at least I'm getting to see, still right now, I don't know about you, but I can still kind of sense the difference between AI generated stuff and organic stuff. You know what I mean? I can see the difference. All you got to do is really just watch the details of the video, or what's happening, and you can kind of see it. The problem is can anybody else? So
I'm not on it enough to distinguish it.
Well, I have to be on it.
One thing I don't like about the algorithms, not to interrupt, but the one thing I don't like about it is what I feel is that it creates tunnel vision, because it's only serving you what you want to see. So that's all that you're seeing.
Okay.
So if, say, you're in a dark place and you're looking at dark things, all that's going to feed you is dark things, and continue to feed you that, and continue to feed you that. If you're in a good place, it's going to feed you probably good things, because that's what you're searching. Like, for example, when I was on the other day, I happened to stop and scroll, a thing that came up for like car crashes, showing car crashes, like tests. And then all of a sudden my feed started filling up with accidents, car crashes. Because the algorithm was like, oh, he spent, a few minutes watching this video. This is obviously what he wants to see, and that's what I get. Like if I watch a Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor, all of a sudden everything is Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like just nonstop. So what's scary is, like, if you start searching, like, the bad things, you're going to think the world's a really scary, horrible place, and all people are bad, because that's all you're seeing on social media. That's what's feeding you constantly.
Correct.
And then I don't really, even though we're in advertising, I don't really like the wear down approach that we're getting into, where it's like the ads keep hammering you until you're basically like, oh my God, I'm just going to buy this so it stops hammering me. Like it's over and over and over, and you see it thousands of times. And it's just like, and I know, and even when you go up, because I've done this several times, you say this ad is not relevant for me.
Oh, you get started again.
Now it's like, oh, they don't want to see it. Let's double it up. And that's super frustrating,
It's annoying as hell.
Every time I see one of those fake video games pop up where it shows a game that's not actually the game, it's just complete garbage. Like it's a mini game inside the game that you never actually get to play.
Correct.
I'm like, report this ad, block it, irrelevant. I don't want to see it. And then they're like, oh, here's another one. So then I write in, and I'm like, hey, I've already said I don't want to see this ad. Why are you showing it to me? No response. But we're a legitimate business, and we run a legitimate ad, and they decide to block us for no reason, just because no reason whatsoever. And they can't give us an explanation as to why it's blocked. But meanwhile, I'm seeing these scam ads over and over and over and over again. But because these companies, I guess, are paying millions of dollars, they're like, we got to let it keep running. And I think that's not cool. And it surprises me. I don't know. I wonder if you actually sit down and watched Zuck, how much time does his family spend on social interacting, and watching and scrolling? I don't think it's a lot. I mean, they might spend a little bit of time creating content, but consuming content, I would hesitate to guess. I would think it'd be minimal. Of actually sitting there and like his kids actually sitting there and having to consume social media like other kids do.
I'm going to agree with you there because even his stuff is produced. A lot of his stuff, if you go and look at it, it's somebody else doing it. Like when he goes and talks in a conference and it shows like tidbits of him in a conference, it's not him doing it. He's not doing it.
He has some. No, he has
some organic stuff that he does when especially if he's talking about the Oculus or whatever those glasses are.
Well, he just showed a 5K run that him and his kid did together 5 months after surgery. A lot of his content is his working out and outdoors and non-tech stuff. It's his working out, his martial arts, his all that kind of stuff. And I don't think he's a bad guy. Like, I don't want to paint him like I don't like Zuckerberg, because I think he just created a monster that's grown bigger than him, and they're just trying to keep it from, running rampant across, across the world and destroying everything. So, I mean, it's not an easy task for him. I know it's not.
Well, it can't be an easy task, especially when you got the government trying to utilize it for their own gains too, on both sides. It does. I'm not going down party lines here on this, but you really see it. You can see it.
Yeah. And, you put it on parents, but I don't know, like as a parent, like how do you tell your kid no when he's getting pressure at school from his friends and all that kind of stuff? Like how do you stop it? When he's interacting with his classmates or their class, when she's interacting with her classmates, and like,
I don't think you stop it. Okay, now let me back up what I meant by that. I don't think you stop it. I think what you do is you educate your children. I have a feeling, and again, this is all gut, this is all opinion right here, based on what I see, okay, and what I experienced with parents for many years, just in sports alone, okay? Parents now want to be friends with their kids versus being a parent to their kid. They want their kids to like them, okay? There's nothing wrong with wanting your kid to like you, but your kid has to respect you and they have to love you, period, first, correct? Or no? Because they can like you as they grow older, but you still have to be the disciplinarian. And what I'm seeing is the lack of disciplinarians.
They don't have to love you either. That's not.
Well, yeah, that's true too. I guess they don't have to love you. They can hate you.
Love.
Yeah, you can't force love either. So let me back that up then too. But the reality is that you have to be a parent first, and you have to have discipline. You have to have rules, and you also have to have open communication with the child. Okay, and I don't think a lot of parents talk to their children like about the dangers of things and this, that, and the other. I really, truly believe that. I think they just, hey, here's an iPad. I see it all the time. Here's an iPad. Go do you, son. Or here you go, babe. Go do this. Then they wonder why, like, their kid gets influenced by, a predator in another app, versus educating them. Hey, these are the warning signs. This is what you're going to see. Hey, I was guilty of it early on with my son, my first one. I overlooked it with my first son, but with my second, I made sure I educated him, because I had to learn as I went. That's how I feel about it. I just feel like parenting needs to be better than what it is now. Because to me, it seems like it was better back then. Back coming up through those 90s, and then all of a sudden, I don't know where the breakdown happened, but it has happened. And then maybe it's because mom and dad are working 2 jobs, you know what I mean, just to make ends meet. Inflation's the highest it's been in fucking forever. You start throwing all that in there. We're donating $90 billion again. Now it's going to be over $200 billion that we've gone to a country that's fighting a war that's not even in fucking NATO. You know what I mean? That makes no sense to me. It makes zero sense to me. When we don't even have secure borders here. I mean, it's even more. It's more open now than it's ever been. They're fucking coming over in troves. You know what I mean? And they're undocumented freaking illegals. I've said, even when Trump was in office or whoever, having undocumented aliens in the country is the wrong approach. But they also do need to make the. I don't know. We're talking about tech, so I don't want to bust into politics too much. But it's like, you have to also allow the process of becoming a citizen a little bit easier. It is a long task to become a citizen, and it is a hard task. That came from my own father-in-law, and that was back in the mid 2000s. It's a tough road. It takes months and months and months and months, like a long time to become a U.S. citizen. That's my 2 cents, man.
What would speeding it up help?
I'm not saying speed it up. I'm saying make the process a little bit easier. I can only do it based on conversation that I had. It was just a lot of wasted paperwork where you could literally, you know what I mean, file background checks and get them done quicker. You get guns faster than you can get become a U.S. citizen. You know what I mean? That's just a fact. You can. You fill out the background check, you pass it, you're in.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I don't know that it's. I think citizenship should be challenging.
So you think it should take over a year to become a U.S. citizen and go leaps and bounds when you could just fill out your paperwork, pay taxes just like everybody else, and then come on into the country, but you're documented. You now have all your information in the system, so to speak.
Yeah. I think if you're undocumented, then you shouldn't be in the country in the first place.
Correct.
I think that here's my situation. Like, I like how some of the other countries have it where you have to have skill sets in order to become a citizen in the country. Like just because you can fill out a form, I don't know that necessarily means you should become a citizen.
So what you're saying is you should have a skill set of some sort that offers something,
if you're not providing,
something to gain for that country.
If you're not providing value to the country, why should you become a citizen? Like, why should you be allowed to become a citizen?
I can agree with you on that one. I can totally agree with you on that. I think that makes sense. So if you don't bring value to the country of any sort, then you stay where you're at.
For why?
But
why?
What about the ones that come over here that don't have value at first, but then end up creating value as they are here because they become educated and they become a great contributor to society? So then you kind of take away from that entrepreneur / mindset to where they can become something because they came into supposedly the greatest country in the world. You know what I mean? To make it better of themselves. That's why they're leaving there in the first place. So how do you overcome that?
I don't know. That's why I'm not just making a decision.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's a hard. I'm not saying that immigration is easy. I'm just saying it needs a serious look at and a revamp, not just a Band-Aid of let's just let either everybody in or just make it or build a fucking wall. You know what I mean? To keep everybody out. Do I have the answer? No, I guess that's why I'm not a politician. I just was sitting here thinking to myself, man, as we were talking about technology, what about that as well? But, getting back to the tech, I just feel like, when it comes to Meta and it comes to TikTok and all that, I just feel like it's definitely being played out by both sides. It's definitely being controlled by the governments to get their information, what they want across. And I honestly feel, because I've been on both platforms, I have yet to see anything that looks like any form of mind control by China to influence me to want communism. You know what I mean? Of any sort. I really don't see it.
It's not that. It's not that. See, it's more sadistic than that.
Like what? I see the same stuff that I see on there that I see on Instagram.
Because all of that stuff is not allowed in China. But so you don't see, people acting like, a robot for, whatever cherries or whatever the bullshit is that I saw some, kids watching the other day where the girl was like teapot or whatever, being stupid, and they were sending her money. It looked like something straight out of, Idiocracy, the movie. It's like the dumbing of our future generations because they're spending hours consuming sheer garbage.
And that goes back to what I was saying. So who controls that?
The platform and the algorithm.
So let me ask you something. So if the U.S. government said, hey, you know what? We're not going to ban it, but we're going to control what you see. And we're going to tell Meta to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Would that be okay in your eyes?
No.
Why?
Because the people that are in charge, I don't like what their opinions are. So I don't think
But you
they would
voted
make.
them in.
No, I didn't.
Along with the people of this country.
I did not vote them in.
So you didn't vote in any senators or any congressmen when you voted, or except for the president, maybe.
Okay, so senator, yes. President, no. Most of the senators in the other states, no.
Okay.
If they changed it to an educational platform, maybe, depending on what the message is. I don't know. See, that's the problem. It's all whoever the man in charge is what matters in that situation. Because it matters what the message is, like, would I rather my kids learn educational stuff? 100%. Would I rather they get fed stuff that helps them grow, like how to balance a checkbook, how to manage your finances, as opposed to seeing someone dressed up as a cat dog making, stupid sound effects, or
Meow.
watching exactly, or watching girls dance and show their body parts because that's what they think is trendy,
Right.
or getting lulled into buying more skincare products because they think at the age of 6 they need to have a ton of skincare products.
Which they don't.
No, I don't think that's okay, and I
No,
think
I
it's
don't
hard.
either. I totally don't think that's okay.
I think it's extremely hard on parents because the algorithm is much, much smarter than people. Like it's already smarter than people as far as manipulation and perseverance and staying on top of it. It's like, I find it like in my own personal life, like, my stepson, he purchases a lot of V-Bucks for Fortnite because him and his friends play Fortnite. So every dollar that he earns, he spends it on a video game for skins and equipment and gear and stuff like that in his game. And, I'm trying to tell him, hey, you need to save some of that. You need to put half of it away. I don't feel like, because my stepson, I don't think I can force him, plus he's, 16. So it's almost like a life lesson you have to learn the hard way. I don't know where the line is on that. Like, I don't know, like, no, you cannot have it.
Your situation as a stepdad is a little bit is actually very different.
I think there's millions and millions of people in my position these days. I think that there's fewer people that are not, not in some type of step parenting role these days.
No, they're not.
Because the divorce rates are so high. So I don't think I'm in a unique situation at all. Like, I think it's a struggle that a lot of people deal with. A lot of people deal with raising other people's kids and helping co-parent and helping co-raise. And where do you draw the line? Like, like, now if you tell your kid no, you can't have it, now they're getting ostracized because all the other kids do have it. So how do you cope as a parent? Like, it's crazy. Like, I see these little girls, they're all showing up with Stanley Cups, because, and it's almost like you have to have it in order to keep your kid from standing out and getting bullied. So, like, where's the line? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's I mean, back in my day, it was like if you showed up in like the Walmart jeans, you were considered super poor, like, and people made fun of you, like if you wore a members only jacket that you got from Goodwill, perfectly great jacket, people made fun of you because it wasn't in style. It wasn't cool. It didn't look, you just tried to survive and fit in.
Yeah.
And keep up with whatever's going on around you. Like, maybe you don't have to be the most trendy, but God forbid you wore something that was like 10 seasons old, like you'd be called out.
Nah.
Oh, look at poor Jimmy. I remember my shoes looking like worn out and getting picked on because my shoes like had like holes in them. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I remember wearing jeans that had patches on the knees, man. I totally get where you're coming from there, man. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on parents.
I remember getting a lot of shit for wearing the Husky jeans. Do you remember Husky? I don't even know they still make them.
I don't know.
I don't know. They're around.
You could afford Husky? Damn, you were lucky.
I don't know. I think Husky were like poor people jeans. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I think I had jeans that had no names on them, but I just had patches on my knees, man. As a young kid growing up, from like 6 to like 11. You know what I mean? I had patches too, like where you wore out the knees on the jeans. They just put a patch over the top of them.
On them. Yep.
Yeah, so that way you'd get a little more life out of it. And nowadays, I'd be like, I mean, nowadays you could buy designer jeans that have patches on them for like,
Right.
$300
I know.
and you're cool. But if you buy like the cheap jeans and put a patch on it, you're poor. And it's like the whole situation's messed up. So it's like, where do you stop? As a parent, it's like you don't want your kid to be ostracized because you don't have garbage. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. You see somebody pull up, like in a Honda Fit, and you instantaneously are like, oh, they must not be doing that well. Like you see somebody in their 40s and you're like, oh, they must not be doing that well financially because they're driving a Honda Fit. Whereas in reality, that's a very good logical choice for a vehicle. It has high reliability, low payment, but a lot of people won't be caught dead driving those, especially if, you pull up to a meeting and with other people and they're driving Mercedes and BMW and you pull up in a Honda Fit. They're going to be like, okay, who's this rookie? Who's this guy's assistant?
Who's this grunt? Like, who's this grunt coming in?
And that's not right, but that's just the world that we live in. So it's so hard as a parent. I know we got a little bit off of the tech talk, but it's a huge struggle for parents this day and age, and especially being overworked and not having a lot of time and having so many outside influence coming at you all the time.
Oh yeah, parenting today. I'm not taking anything away from parents today. I was simply just making an observation. It is tougher because you are getting hit from all angles, whether it be the iPhone, the computer, the iPad, you name it, it's coming. Then you add in all the social apps and all those things just coming at you. It was a lot different than my parents just having to deal with a few things coming at them, back in the day. Now with the introduction to computers and hitting this computer era. And now AI and everything else. Now you got so much more you have to deal with for sure.
Right.
So I don't know if we have the answer. Obviously, if so, we'd be up there in a high end position, in the government and or at another agency, or, some type of guideline committee. But I just think that as of right now, my personal viewpoint on it is it's try to do your best as a parent, educating your kids as much as possible. I mean, that's all I got on that one, man. I mean, you?
But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good place to end. It's a good catchphrase, but what exactly you're educating them, and maybe we'll just say that for the next maybe we'll say that
for another show. Yeah, maybe we can touch on that a little bit more in depth. I just think we're looking at another 30-minute to 45-minute conversation.
Right. That, giving some practical tools that you can use to actually do that. What specifically can you put together other than just saying, hey, do better? Because do better is such an ambiguous statement. It can mean a million different things to a million different people. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys.
So you want to lead us out here?
Yeah, I think we're going to get out of here. I think we interjected enough on that. So, guys, don't forget, head over to thedailybm.com where you can follow us on all our socials. You can head over to Rumble and YouTube and like and subscribe over there as well. Don't forget to head over to Mason Danger Beard Company. That is masondangerco.com. And you can get 20% off on all products for your beard if you are a bearded gentleman like us. And remember, enter at the cart level, Daily BM, and you'll get 20% off on all your products that you purchase, not just on the whole entire cart. So don't forget. Mikey, got anything before we get out of here?
Hey, everybody, have a great day. Just do the best you can. Every day, work a little harder to be a little better than you were the day before.
Well said. And with that, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Have a good one.
Deuces.